Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Lady K Chat, a podcast that is designed for men and women to become better versions of themselves, which is broadcast every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Various subjects will be spoken upon, such as relationships, health and wellness, personal development, wealth building, children, and so much more. She is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, an international speaker, and life coach. She is Lady K. And now for your host, Lady K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lady K Chat podcast. I am your favorite host, Lady K, and I have my super co-host with me today, who's my favorite co-host, Manny. How you doing today, Manny?
I'm good. How you? I'm doing all right. I'm ready to pod today, as Joe Budden would say. I had a good lunch, pepperoni pizza, and I'll be having another good dinner after we do this whole bit. Steak and potatoes and broccoli. My go-to.
Look, he giving all the details. Listen, you're making me hungry, but I ain't going to get distracted because we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what men want. And yes, ladies, Manny is giving a cheat sheet code, the mindset of a man. And we need to know because sometimes people are like, what is wrong with y'all? Because we on two different planets sometimes. And listen, we just need some insight because we just want to make sure that we're able to function together and properly and have healthy relationships, because that's what it's all about these days. Everything is all about healthy. Everybody's transforming into this new wave, of thinking correctly so they can have the accomplishments and the achievements and the lifestyle that they want. So just to open up, man, you got to tell me this, right? So when a man is approaching a woman and he knows she is out his lead, what kind of gives him the ammunition to even just want to go ahead and do something like that? Please tell us.
What you asking what the mindset is?
Yeah, what the mindset of a man that approaches a woman that's way out of his league?
Well, number one, it's the confidence level that he has. I mean, if your confidence is on high, there's no woman out there that's going to be out of your league. They could be somebody that looks like Whoopi Goldberg to somebody that looks like, Nafessa Williams from Black Lightning. But it doesn't even matter to them because a lot of times their confidence is speaking and they can pull anybody from anywhere. And they're thinking, oh, okay, I like her. Oh, she's with him. Oh, she will be with me later on. Let me, you know what I mean?
So you're right about that with the confidence, because I'm going to tell you a little quick story about my man. Before we started dating, we met at a friend's party and we're all vibing. We're having a great time. We're at this lounge and this man come out of nowhere and kiss me. And I'm like, yo, he got a lot of nerve. You don't even know me, partner.
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay, so rewind. He did what again?
We was chilling at the lounge, celebrating my girlfriend's party, her birthday, I'm sorry. So she had a party for herself and everyone is at this lounge. Meanwhile, I don't know him. I just met him, because everybody's introducing each other. I'm like, hi, how you doing? And, everybody's vibing with everybody. They picked someone. I guess he said she's sitting there about herself. Let me go in. But he just came out of nowhere and kissed me. And I was like, first of all, I have guys that say, Kalima, sometimes I just don't think you're approachable. And I'm like, well, I'm very nice. I don't know why I'm not approachable. But I always had men tell me this. And sometimes some people will tell me this my whole life. So when he came at me, not even just one, threw my guard off. Number two, I wanted to slap him. And and then number three, it's kind of like, wait a minute, wait. What gave you, the balls to do that? But later on, as we cultivated the relationship, we were actually friends first. I didn't jump in a relationship with him, but then later on, a couple of years afterwards, then we started dating. And we still to this day, we laugh about that event. So, man, it's kind of funny that now you put in perspective to me that in order for a man to take that approach, his confidence level will have to be pretty high. So that's a great thing.
I mean, it's just, again, some guys, I'll put it like this. some guys' confidence is not all the way there, so they're gonna be like, I don't know, and then their buddy's gonna egg them on, and then all of a sudden they do whatever, and then things end up working out. But then there are some guys who are just complete a-holes who thinks, they're basically walking on water, thinking they're gonna come to you and thinking, I want you right now. And they're gonna be like, okay, let's go. No, it don't work like that.
You said something so key, and I want to make sure we separate this. The guy that's genuine, that's a great, but for the man who's not genuine, you need to dig a little deeper and tell us about him. For someone who feel like, he has that confidence to go this and get that woman out his league, is like, do you actually have the intention of taking this someplace, or no, you just want to play? What is in their mindset?
There's two people. One, guys who want something long term and looking to build, and two, guys who want something short term, they want something temporarily. And I'll speak for the guy. I'll first tackle the long term. The guys who want something long term, they will try to take things slow as possible, because they don't want to give them the attention to think, oh, I want you and I see you from afar, and they don't want to come off as a Prince Charming, because a lot of times, we label those guys Captain Save-A-Hoes, or if I pull them, Captain Save 'em all days. And most guys don't want to be labeled as that. Now, was I labeled that at one point? Yeah, I'll admit it. I was labeled that at one point. But my intentions were always very genuine, and that's more something that I had to clearly had to work on. Now, obviously, those guys are always going to play the safe card. The meaning by the safe card is they're going to try to make sure that that person feels as comfortable as possible, because at the end of it, they don't want to lose that person. Because if they lose that person, it just throws everything off, and they may get friend zoned, or they may not talk to that person ever again. Now, the other person who is something there for a night or a few minutes, obviously they're looking for one thing and one thing only: sex. And they see that person look good, that person got is geometrically perfect, meaning everything is just they have the curves for all intents and purposes, but in actuality they're only looking for something temporarily, meaning they want something for a night, or they want something for a booty call, or they want something that just with some benefits. They don't want nothing serious.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So for the man who just want to play, why do you think he, at the age of 40 and 50, 60 years old, why do you think he is still captivated in that mindset of just to play?
That's a great question. Either they're not ready for commitment, or they're scared of commitment because they've been hurt previously and they don't want to go through that again. Okay. Or they're just looking at something where it's just like, why buy the cow when I can get the milk for free? You heard that statement, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I also know this too, just talking about that, why buy the cow and get it for free. This is where us women, this is when, if you listen to one of the shows that me and Manny did on Standing Your Ground, you will know how to bypass this type of man, because you'll be able to see that he doesn't want this and he's just playing. And if you're going to entertain him, you just be careful, because it can come with something. You try to say, oh, I'm just going to entertain him. And then you actually get caught up and you start liking him. Don't do that to yourself, because the outcome may not be pretty. But I thank you for answering that, because I do feel like a lot of men, they are running. And sometimes I see a recurring behavior pattern that, they'll leave one woman and keep going to the next. And, you can do what you want, to each his own. But the question is, why are you jumping? Why is the same scenario happening to you? And then now you're frustrated at yourself. So my question to you, Manny, is, do men actually take the time and say, hey, let me examine myself? Why am I like this? Do y'all do that? Because us, we do that. Women, we do that. But do men, do y'all actually sit there and evaluate why the same scenario keep happening to me?
Here's the thing. I can't speak for all men, but I'll speak for myself. And this is a true story. You may not know this, but let's be real. I was that type of guy where I always got friend zoned all the time. All the time. But and when you get friend zoned so many times, you have to sit back and say, why does this keep happening to me? And is it the approach? Is it what I'm saying? Is it how am I coming off? Or is it all of the above or none of the above? You have to understand who you are and understand what energy you're putting out. And this is something I always tell people. We spend so much time trying to figure out who we are. Nobody focuses on who they're trying to focus what they're not trying to be. You don't want to try to be that person where it's just like, oh, I get friend zoned all the time. Now, to answer your question, there are some guys who do reflect, but sometimes they reflect when it's too late, or sometimes they'll reflect when they get the game put back on them, and sometimes they'll reflect if they're at a certain age and they're just tired.
Right.
And I think a lot of times men, sometimes they get tired or they run into somebody who's just not who's on the up and up. It's not with the games, and then they realize, oh, wait a minute, I can't pull that same trick on this one like I did this one. I have to work on this one. So they work on it, and then they realize, you know what, this one's actually worth it. And then all of a sudden, they just get into a happy matrimony.
So
I've seen that happen before too.
So I'm sorry. Would you say that men actually do like the challenge?
There are some men who do like the challenge, and there's some men who just want the easy way in. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. The easy way in is not the best way.
Right. Right. Because that was going to be one of my next questions. I was going to say, for the man, right, when he selects a woman and he see that she's easy, and there's a different ladies at being easy and bringing peace. They set two different tones. So do you feel that the lady that's easy, do you feel like a lot of guys just walk over them because that lady allows them to do so?
I won't say walk over them. I would say like they get away with a lot of things. And when I say by get away with a lot of things is they get away with coming home late, or they get away with saying certain things to certain people, or they may get away with the fact that, you know, they may not have a job, but they're staying at this person's house while they're at work and they're borrowing their car. You know what I mean? Which drives me crazy because
I a baby boy.
Correct. Like I always see guys using their girl's car, and how I know they're using the girl's car because I either see them in a Honda Civic or a Nissan Altima, and I just see them driving around with a do-rag on, and I'm just like, that's not his car. That's not his car. And it's just, it's just one of those things where, I mean, it depends on the guy. It really does.
Right. So my question to you is, because we talked about the player, so now I want to go back to the guy who wants long term. So what are the benefits for men to be in a long term to a marriage situation?
How long is this podcast? Wow. Okay, I'll give you the cliff notes. For the guy who wants marriage, they bring stability. Meaning they know what they want and know what they can bring to the table. There are some men who don't know what they want to bring, who don't know how to bring things to the table, but they bring stability. And what I mean by stability is they're not going to do anything crazy. They're not going to do anything outside of, who they are. They are who they are. Now, in some women's mind, they're practically going to be boring, but they bring stability. And a lot of times women, and I'll be honest with you, some women are scared of that. Bring stability and they bring some level of normacy, whereas some people may not be used to it. But then again, if they approach the right woman who wants those things and they're able to understand those things, then able to know that this is what's normal for them and this is what brings structure for them, then yeah, the guy who wants the long-term relationship will end up being successful. But unfortunately, I'll say this. There are some women out there who either don't know what they want or they just want to continue to be, as I like to call it, go through their whole phase. They don't want something like that. They want something quick and they want something then, and boom, they're out of it. But then as to come along, this is go for all the guys too. I'm not bashing women or anything. I'm not singling y'all out. What I'm also saying is this: when some guys, they do approach you and they bring some level of normalcy, sometimes it may blow their minds, but then again, it lets them know that there are different types of dudes out there. And that's the benefit of being the long-term guy. I hope I answered your question.
You did, because you're pretty much saying that guy that's the long term, he actually wants something that means something because he's ready for it. And you said something so key. You said a lot of men don't know how to bring it to the table. I think that is so crucial to have that skill and someone to teach you that. And even for in the case of the men that you didn't have someone to shadow, after a certain point, when you're getting older and you're getting wiser, you have to say to yourself, all right, well, maybe like you said earlier, I have to take a different approach because this is not working. And sometimes those men who are not taught, they have to keep bumping their heads so they can finally get it right. I forgot the name of the movie, but it was a movie that Marlon Wayans made, and it was on Netflix. Oh, it was called Naked. It was hilarious. Now, even though he made a funny sense to it, he kept having to repeat because he had to get it right. And that's what life does to us. Sometimes we asking us, do I feel like this is deja vu? Why do I feel like it's repeating itself? Because you have not learned the lesson. And that goes for both for men and women. Like you said, there are some women who's not ready to hang up their flag, but this is not that show. That's another time. We're just focusing on the men that we want to step up their game, especially in our community. Right now, at this point, I think it's so pivotal to have that man and that woman, especially, or that wife and that husband, to have they bond as strong as other, because right now we all need to support, with COVID going on and exposing how people really truly are. I mean, they've always been this way, but because of media, the way it is, we get to see it from a different perspective. I know people be saying, this didn't happen before, and why is it like this now? No, newsflash. This has always been here. It was just the way it was projected. And again, it's all because of the wave of the electronic devices that everybody can snap a shot of anything. You do anything wrong, you on Facebook. You do anything wrong, you on YouTube. People are out there that's watching you. You have to be so protective of these days. It's not even funny. So you have to guard your ear gates. You have to guard your eye gates. And men, we just need you to stay focused. You know what I'm saying? This is why we want to know, what do you want? It's important to us because you matter in the relationship as well. A lot of females, we know what we bring in, but you got to be open-minded and you have to speak with, what you want. This is a partnership. It is not a one-way street. And for the men who wants to be so-called players, just be truthful. They say, hey, I don't want a relationship. Ladies, when he tell you that, listen to him. Stop trying to convert him into a husband. He don't want to be a husband. And I'm sorry, I don't care what no one says. Somebody said, Klima, so if you're dating and the guy said he don't want marriage, so you just going to pass upon him? Hell yeah. Why would I even waste my breath if I know that's my long-term goal and I know I'm serious about it? So it's the same thing to you, ladies. What do you want? Stand your ground on it. So now that you stand your ground on it and now the men are approaching you, you're trying to figure out, okay, what do you want? So now that you told me what you wanted, let's try to see if we can make this union happen.
Lady K.